Millionaire Dad's heartwarming discovery at school. 5 life-changing moments that exposed the UNE. Ben Carter, a billionaire turned community man, felt like a fish out of water. Coming back to Brookfield, the small Midwestern town where he grew up, sent waves of nostalgia crashing over him. As he strolled through the familiar streets, small shops lined up like loyal friends, he was eager to give back to the place that shaped him. With his daughter, Lily, by his side, he envisioned how they'd transform Brookfield Elementary together. Ben's first day volunteering at the school was an eye-opener. Walking through the creaky halls, his heart sank at the sight of peeling paint and outdated textbooks crammed into dilapidated desks. The laughter of kids filled the air, but it was stark a reminder of what was promised versus the reality they faced. He met teachers Maria and Johnson, whose weary smiles and passionate dedication tugged at his heartstrings. Their love for the students sparkled even in the gloom of neglect. Later, as Ben interacted with the kids, he found a light in their resilience. They shared stories of late nights, juggling school and jobs, even trading hand-me-downs for classes. They were living examples of the American dream, shining against some hard knocks. Ben watched as some kids beamed with pride over their small wins, feeling admiration swell within him. Then, his heart shattered. Ava, a gifted artist, stood by the bulletin board a whirlwind of color. He overheard her sob softly, denied entry into a prestigious art program because of fees her family couldn't manage. At that moment, an unsettling anger bubbled in him. How could talent and promise be stifled due to economic barriers? This wasn't just a young girl's dreams in peril. This was systemic injustice. His fists clenched, a fire igniting in his gut. He knew he couldn't turn a blind eye any longer. Determined to help, Ben plunged into action, rallying support from local businesses and parents. Yet, to his shock, anger erupted from some community members. "You don't know our struggle," they shouted, their resentment like daggers. Here he was, just a rich outsider trying to do good. But was that enough? Doubts gnawed at him. Could he create genuine connections? Or would he always be an alien amongst them? The air was thick with tension as the town's annual harvest festival approached. Beneath the vibrant colors of autumn leaves, families came together, helping one another with open smiles and food shared. Ben witnessed the heart of the community, but could he bridge the gap between wealth and understanding? With evening falling, he stood on stage before the lively crowd, his heart racing. He worked all week, crafting a plan to uplift the school, but would they welcome him? The weight of their gazes was heavy. Could he find a way to belong, proving that true wealth lies not in money but in compassion and connection? Before we continue, I need to let you know about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system, and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, hit that bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can drop a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, let me know in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let's continue. As the townspeople leaned in, anticipation buzzing in the air, Ben took a deep breath. Would they embrace his vision for Ava, for the school, for all their children? The moment hung, charged with possibility, leaving everyone wondering what would unfold next. Ben's heart raced. He looked out over the sea of familiar faces, the people who had shaped his childhood. A mix of hope and anxiety pulsed through him. Would they listen? Would they even care? Taking a step forward, he felt the wooden stage creak beneath him, an echo of his own uncertainty. "Good evening, Brookfield," he started, his voice steady but laced with emotion. The crowd quieted, their curiosity evident. "I stood where you are today once. This town raised me. Every lesson I learned was rooted in these streets." He paused, searching the faces in front of him. Some looked skeptical, others intrigued. His eyes found Ava in the crowd, her gentle spirit igniting a fire within him. "I know I have a lot of privilege," he continued, his tone sincere, "but together I believe we can make a difference. There is so much untapped potential in our school's potential like Ava's." She deserves the chance to chase her dreams. A few heads nodded, but there were still frowns. He could sense the walls those frowns built. I've been talking to local businesses, he pressed on, and they want to help. We can work together to fund programs art, sports, music that I know are essential for these kids. We can create scholarships for students who can't afford them. A murmur surged through the crowd, a mix of support and skepticism. But what do you know about struggle? A voice called out from the back. Ben's heart sank for a moment. He thought about the late nights in his penthouse, sleepless, hustling to build his empire. But he never felt the burden of someone who had to choose between groceries or paying for forgotten school supplies. I know patience, he replied, summoning the strength to stand tall. My father worked 3 jobs just so I could attend school here. I lived in that struggle, but I was fortunate enough to have the resources to rise above it. I don't want to change this community from above. I want to build it up from within. His gaze swept across the audience, searching for connections, for understanding that a silence fell. He could almost hear the collective hearts trying to reconcile his past with their present. Would they let him in, or would the gap stay unbridged forever? Just then, a small voice piped up, if you really mean it, what's your plan? It was Ava, her courage shining brightly amid the uncertainty. Are you just going to throw money at it? The crowd stirred, intrigued by her boldness. No, Ben replied earnestly. This isn't just about cash. It's about community. I want you all to help shape these programs. Your voices matter. Let us create something that lasts together. A wave of chatter ignited as people exchanged glances. Hope flickered like the tiny flames of the lanterns strung across the trees above. Ben could see the skepticism begin to wane, if only just a bit. He felt a touch on his arm. Lily had joined him, her innocent excitement lighting up her eyes. Can we help, Dad? Please? She pleaded, her heart pure, wanting so eagerly to be part of the solution. We all can, Ben said, his voice quaking with conviction. Let us gather in the gym this Thursday and brainstorm ideas. We'll have refreshments, and I promise you this is only the start. As he stepped down, the adrenaline still buzzing in his veins, he felt the shift in the air. The roots of connection were starting to take hold. But would that initial spark hold? Could trust grow from the seeds he planted tonight? As they began to disperse, Ben caught sight of some parents whispering in the corner, a mix of interest and skepticism dancing in their eyes. He knew he'd need to earn their trust and prove he wasn't just a passing shadow. With the faint sounds of laughter and chatter filling the street as families headed home, Ben turned to Lily. What do you think? He asked, his heart still pounding. Do you really think they believe you? Can we really help Ava? She asked, her innocence cutting through the noise of doubt in his mind. More than you know, he replied, but deep inside, uncertainty gnawed at him. The future depended on whether they were ready to step forward together. Could they rewrite their story, redefine what it meant to belong in Brookfield? Before he could ponder further, a familiar voice caught his attention. It was Maria, the art teacher, her eyes wide with something that felt like hope mixed with doubt. Ben, can I talk to you? The weight of her seriousness sent a chill down his spine. What did she want to say? Would she be another challenge to face, or a new ally in this journey? Ben noticed the way Maria's fingers fidgeted with the strap of her bag, an anxious dance that betrayed her calm facade. He stepped to the side, inviting her closer, trying to tune out the fading voices around them. Sure, what's on your mind? He asked, genuinely curious. She glanced at Lily, then back at him. I appreciate what you're trying to do. Really? She began, her voice a gentle whisper. But it's not just about funding, you know? There are layers here, deep-rooted issues. The kids, they're facing more than we can see. It's never just money. Ben felt a knot in his chest. I get that. But if we don't start somewhere, how will we know where to go? Maria sighed, a sound of surrender mixed with determination. You're right. But please consider the bigger picture. It may take more than a meeting. It might not even be something you can fix. There was a deep honesty in her words, and it resonated with him. He could see her heart was as big as the canvas she painted on. What do you suggest? he asked, wanting to bridge this gap of understanding. I think we need to make it a real conversation, she replied. Involve the parents, the kids, even alumni. Everyone has a voice, but they need a space where they feel heard. You'll discover the real issues when they feel safe to share. Sometimes the most painful truths are difficult to express. Ben felt the weight of her concern settle in his heart. So you believe a dialogue would work? Yes. Get to know the kids. Bring them into the discussions. It transforms to hear their dreams and fears firsthand. Her eyes glimmered with purpose. Lily stepped closer, her youthful energy contrasting with Maria's earnestness. I can help too. We can make posters and art for it. She chimed, her excitement lifting some of the gravity from the moment. Ben looked at his daughter, her sparkle a reminder of what was at stake. All right, he said, his voice steadier this time. Let us do just that. Maria, you'll help guide me, right? She nodded slowly, a hint of relief crossing her features. Absolutely. I'll reach out to some teachers and parents too. But you need to be ready for the honest truths. What you may hear could challenge everything you think you understand. It got his pulse racing anew. He had come to Brookfield with high hopes, but he was beginning to realize the task ahead was daunting. Yet, a fire ignited within him. He could feel it. As they walked toward the parking lot, Ben could see small groups of parents lingering, their hushed tones filled with curiosity and uncertainty. Was this fear or hope? He couldn't read them just yet, but he had a growing urge to get to the core of these unspoken dialogues. When he reached his car, Lily hopped into the passenger seat, her smile illuminating the dimming evening light. Can you get everyone to have fun at the meeting, Dad? I want it to be exciting. Fun. Huh? You bet we'll make it fun, Lily? He laughed, but he knew he'd need to balance the seriousness of the discussion with uplifting engagement. Driving home, Ben mulled over Maria's words and Lily's enthusiasm. Could he really transform Brookfield into a community where dreams blossomed? Where each voice, no matter how quiet, harmonized to shape the future? As he pulled into their driveway, a thought gripped him. What if the first step was not just to listen, but to share his own story too? He got out of the car, gazing up at the stars emerging in the twilight sky. The quiet enveloped him for a moment. Yet inside, a storm of determination brewed. The next class was just beginning, and he had a lot to learn. Would his story resonate, or would it expose the gaps still unbridged? Would the community welcome him further into their narrative? He took a breath, steeling himself for what lay ahead. If this was a dialogue, how would he begin to truly connect? And what truth might it unveil about himself? Ben awoke the next morning with a sense of urgency gnawing at him. The sun streamed through the window, illuminating the small kitchen where he usually found comfort in routine. But today, the usual taste of coffee felt different. It was laced with nervous anticipation. He needed to make a change. Aside from funding, he realized, he had to lay bare his own experiences. After finishing breakfast, he took a moment to gather his thoughts. The meeting was not just about numbers, it was about understanding. He recalled Maria's words, her insistence on fostering an open dialogue. He envisioned a circle, not a hierarchy, where everyone could speak, share, and feel valued. His heart raced at the thought of what that could look like. Dad, are you ready? Lily called from the hallway, her voice breaking into his thoughts. Yep, just getting my notes together, he replied, his mind racing. They arrived at the community center, the air thick with a mix of excitement and apprehension. As they stepped inside, Ben felt the buzz in the room, a blend of chatter, laughter, and a sprinkling of nervous energy. Parents and students filled the area, a tapestry of backgrounds and experiences. A large banner hung across the back wall, crafted by the students, reading, "Your voice matters." He smiled, feeling a flicker of hope ignite within him. This was the atmosphere they needed, an open voice for every single person in Brookfield. Lily tugged at his sleeve. Can I help with the posters, Dad? Her eyes sparkled with eagerness. Of course. Grab those markers, he said, grateful for her enthusiasm. They joined a small group of kids who were setting up introductory materials. As he helped hang a bright poster with "What do you want to achieve?" Written in bold letters, several parents began to gather, eyes full of curiosity. Slowly, the room evolved into a vibrant space of interaction. Ben stood in front, glancing at faces scattered throughout the gathering. His heart thudded as he anticipated the moment he would introduce the dialogue, revealing what he hoped they might achieve together. "Welcome, everyone," Ben began, feeling the warmth of nervousness under his skin. "I'm Ben, and this is my daughter Lily. We're here because we care about this community and the amazing potential it holds." Murmurs of approval echoed from the crowd, along with a few hesitant smiles. "Today, I want us to talk," he continued, channeling every ounce of sincerity in his voice. "I think we can start by sharing our stories. I believe they can build bridges, understanding, and solutions. So, let me share something about myself first." He paused, choosing his words carefully. "I came to Brookfield hoping to make a difference. But I've learned that sometimes, it's the stories and experiences we don't share that keep us apart. My own journey wasn't easy. It took listening to others and being brave enough to reveal my struggles during tough times. It made me who I am today." His voice quivered slightly, but he pressed on. "I want to hear your stories. I want to understand what you're facing, what you hope for. Let us create a safe space where we can express fears, dreams, and uncertainties." As he looked around, he caught glimpses of faces softening, engaging with his vulnerability. An older woman raised her hand, her shy demeanor contrasting sharply with the courageous sparkle in her eyes. "My son he has struggled a lot this year. I want to help him, but I just don't know how." He felt the weight of her words sink in, an echo of the countless families who might feel the same. "We all want to help, and each of us has something valuable to share," he replied, feeling the atmosphere shift. "You're not alone in this." The air felt electric as they shared stories, some heartbreaking, others filled with hope. Every voice added color and depth to the moment. Ben felt the very essence of the community beginning to knit itself together, thread by joyous thread. That as the discussions continued, excitement buzzed through the room, but so did an undeniable fear. Would they really embrace vulnerability? Would more parents step forward to share their own experiences? The little boy next to Lily whispered, "Can I say something next?" His expression was a mixture of hope and apprehension. Ben smiled, feeling a mix of pride and anticipation. "Absolutely. This is your time to shine." As the boy stood, shaking and ready to express what he had confined within, Ben realized they were on the edge of something monumental. What truths were about to be unveiled? Would this moment of sharing become a catalyst for real change in Brookfield? The room fell silent, the air thick with expectation. An awakening was stirring, and he felt that this was just the beginning. The boy cleared his throat, his small frame trembling as he scanned the wide-eyed crowd. For a brief second, Ben felt the weight of silence pressing down, almost tangible in its intensity. The moment felt sacred. "I want to talk about my sister," the boy stammered, his face turning crimson. "She's in middle school and some kids say mean stuff to her every day. She comes home sad, and I don't know how to help her." His voice wavered, but he pressed on, courage gleaming in his eyes. "Sometimes I feel sad 'cause I can't make it better." A soft gasp floated through the crowd, and even Ben felt a lump form in his throat. Here was a child, courageously sharing his truth, baring his heart for everyone to see. How many others felt the same but had kept their feelings tucked away? Ben glanced at Lily, her eyes reflecting a mixture of empathy and admiration. She squeezed his hand, a silent reminder of their bond and the shared mission before them. "Thank you for sharing that," Ben said gently, his voice filled with warmth. "It takes bravery to talk about our feelings, especially when we're worried about someone we care about. You're not just your sister's brother, you're her champion. Your support means everything to her." Lily chimed in, "Maybe we can all help each other. We can be friends and stand up for people who get hurt." A ripple of agreement washed over the room as parents nodded in encouragement. It was a moment of connection, a web linking their struggles, hopes, and aspirations. Encouraged by the boy and Lily, more voices began to rise from the crowd. An anxious father spoke up next, standing tall. I've had my own battles. I want to be a better dad for my kids. Sometimes, I don't know what to say when they bring their problems to me. His honesty hung in the air, mingling with the weightier issues of relationships and self-worth. Why don't we help each other learn? Another voice called out, a mother on the edge of her seat, her eyes alight with resolve. We can create a support group. We'll figure this out together. Ben's heart soared at the emergence of their collective power. Here was a community, united in soreness and joy, ready to reinforce its foundation of trust and support. It was a counter to isolation, a tapestry woven from shared fears and aspirations that pulsed with life. The room buzzed with ideas, a chorus of solutions dancing in the air. Suddenly, everything felt possible. They could build workshops, organize events, even create forums to keep these conversations going. The creativity poured forth like water breaking through a dam as they brainstormed ways to foster this newfound spirit of togetherness. As Ben looked around, the smiles, laughter, and shared tears painted a picture of change, a shared promise that their stories would not just be heard but celebrated. But just as the atmosphere shimmered with hope, a shadow lingered in the back of Ben's mind. Sure, they were caught up in a moment of collective hope, but what did that mean for the actual work moving forward? Would everyone carry the conversation beyond this meeting? Would the vulnerable moments shared today translate into action tomorrow? As if sensing his internal struggle, Lily leaned in, whispering, "Dad, are we really going to be okay?" Her innocent query cut through, anchoring him. Ben took a deep breath, his heart swelling with an overwhelming mix of hope and trepidation. "We will be, sweetheart. Change takes time, but we have each other now." Just then, the facilitator of the community center entered, waving a piece of paper and capturing everyone's attention. "Hello, everyone. Sorry to interrupt, but we just received news that can impact our plans moving forward." The crowd quieted, anticipation thickening the air once again. What news awaited them? Would it bolster their resolve or complicate their budding connections? The moment felt charged, and Ben realized they were about to find out if the spark ignited in this room could withstand the winds of change. Where would this newfound unity take them? What obstacles lay ahead? As tension hung in the air, one thing became clear: this was only the beginning. The facilitator cleared her throat, glancing at the eager faces, the paper wavering slightly in her hands. "We just received an offer from a local business owner. They're willing to sponsor our community support group. That means we could actually fund events and workshops." A wave of enthusiasm swept through the crowd, instant cheers erupting like popcorn in a microwave. People exchanged astonished glances, smiles breaking across worried faces. Ben felt a rush of energy pulse through the room. A helping hand from the outside world had extended into their little community, but he also sensed a deeper urgency lurking beneath the surface. "Wow, that's amazing," the anxious father said, his earlier trepidation fading into the background. "How can we get started?" Just as quickly, another father hesitated. "But what if this business owner changes their mind? What if we can't live up to their expectations?" His brow furrowed in doubt, dimming the excitement a bit. "Those are valid concerns," the facilitator replied, nodding. "But we have the chance to make real change. We can't let fear hold us back. We'll create something meaningful together, regardless of outside influences." The words were filled with conviction, but Ben could feel the tension returning, a yawning divide between hope and skepticism. He thought of Lily's question and realized it resonated with more than just his daughter. Many in the room were likely experiencing the same mix of excitement and uncertainty. "Let us take this one step at a time," Ben interjected, stepping forward to share his thoughts. "We need to stay connected, remind ourselves that our strength lies in each other, not just in money or plans. We can be the heart of this initiative." His voice held a warmth that gathered the room's spirit. Ben's resolve flickered to life, igniting conversations, mingling with eagerness and concern. Parents exchanged numbers, ideas poured down like rain, and soon they were forming committees around tables, scribbling goals on flip charts, bridging the gap between doubt and hope. Lily watched her father, her faith in him mirrored in the faces around her. She could see the determination washing over each person as they split into smaller groups. This was turning into something bigger than them, something real and tangible. Suddenly, the door swung open, and in walked a few middle school kids, some of whom Ben instantly recognized. They stood uncertainly near the entrance, shifting from foot to foot as they caught the optimistic buzz in the air. We heard there's a meeting," one girl spoke up, visibly nervous, glancing at the boy who Dee bravely shared just moments before. "Can we join?" "Absolutely," Lily shouted, her voice cutting through the noise like a beacon. "We could really use your help. You can teach us what you want and need, too." The tension in the room broke again, like a fracture in a dam, and laughter erupted as the kids joined in. They were welcomed, embraced. Ben's heart swelled seeing the synergy between generations, the blooming camaraderie representing each person's struggles. Yet as voices and laughter ebbed and flowed around him, he felt an undercurrent pulling at his heart. Are we really equipped for this? He pondered silently. Breadth and commitment were necessary, but were they ready for the emotional weight of the work ahead? As ideas sprouted wildly in the room, Ben caught sight of the boy from earlier. He was talking to a group of kids, his confidence glowing like wildfire. Just moments ago, he'd been a trembling figure, and here he was linking arms with others in solidarity, a tiny hero born from vulnerability. But even as the community forged ahead, the real challenge loomed larger than ever in Ben's mind. Would they hold steadfast when the dust settled and the voices quieted? Before he could explore that thought further, Lily tugged on his sleeve, her face lit with excitement. "Dad, can we call Grandma and Grandpa? They would want to help too." Ben smiled, but the question echoed still, what about everyone else? How would they keep this momentum, this newfound connection, alive? As they began making calls and organizing plans, he felt a mixture of hope and an uncertain weight, a promise laced with a question. They stood on the precipice of something great, but the path wasn't drawn. How would they tackle the storms ahead? Tomorrow would bring its own challenges, but what if this gathering could evolve into something even greater than anyone imagined? The seeds were planted, now they had to tend to them, nurturing the growth that awaited. Would they rise to the occasion? Ben took a deep breath, feeling the weight of yesterday's excitement settling like dust. The community had come together, yes, but today was a new day filled with questions. They had found a spark, but could they sustain it? As he and Lily arrived at the community center, the buzz from last night still hung in the air, but it felt different now, tangible but fragile. "Do you think everyone will come back?" Lily asked, her small hand gripping the strap of her backpack. "Absolutely," Ben replied, though uncertainty crept into his voice. "They saw what we could do together. They want to miss it." As they stepped inside, the tables were set up just like before, pens and notepads waiting eagerly for ideas. People filed in one by one, the mood shifting from the excitement of the previous night to a collective sense of responsibility. "Good morning, everyone," the facilitator called out, drawing everyone's attention. "I'm thrilled to see so many familiar faces today. Let us dive right in and discuss our plans moving forward." The room settled into a focused quiet, everyone eager to hear how they would take action. Ideas bounced around. Workshops, community events, support groups, all glowing with possibility. But beneath the surface energy, Ben noticed a flicker of fear in people's eyes. What if it was too much? One mother raised her hand, her voice wavering. "I love the ideas, but how do we make sure everyone feels included? I don't want anyone to feel left out, especially with our kids all having different needs." Ben admired the woman's honesty. Her concerns hung in the air, palpable and raw. "That's important," he said, nudging forward. "We need to make inclusion our priority. Let us create subcommittees to focus on specific groups, kids, parents. Everyone can have a voice." Lily looked at him, her eyes wide with approval. Seeing her confidence in him fueled his resolve. Moments like this weren't just about plans. They were about connection, about recognizing every person's worth. As the meeting progressed, Ben found himself sidetracked by his own thoughts. They could plan for events and fundraisers, but how would they address the deeper issues? What was the real heart of the problem? When the boy who had first shared his story stood up to speak, the room fell silent. "I think we should have a meeting for the kids too," he said boldly, his previous shyness transformed into determination. "If we can talk openly, maybe we can really figure out how to help." Ben's heart raced. He could see the sincerity in the boy's voice, feel its weight in the room. "That's a brilliant idea," he exclaimed. "Kids should have a space to discuss what they need. A place to express themselves freely." A ripple of agreement washed over the crowd, as parents nodded and murmurs of approval rose. Yet, even amidst the excitement, doubt crept in again. Questions floated in Ben's mind like clouds. What if their efforts faded in time? What if the kids couldn't express their needs, or worse, no one listened? As the meeting wound down, Lily stood with her arms crossed, her face scrunched in thought. "Dad, if we really do this, how are we going to keep reaching out to everyone, especially the families who didn't show up today?" Ben knelt down to meet her eye. "You're right, Pumpkin. It's not enough just to invite them. We need to show them they matter." Together, they brainstormed how to connect with the broader community: flyers, social media, maybe even a small event in the park. Each idea felt more promising than the last, but the underlying anxiety remained. Would it be enough? As the meeting ended, Ben felt a flicker of optimism, yet the shadow of uncertainty loomed above, reminding him just how far they had to go. Could they truly reinvigorate that initial excitement? They walked home in thoughtful silence, each lost in different moments of reflection. Ben stole a glance at Lily, her small form illuminated by the fading sun. What if we don't get everyone on board? He wondered aloud, but before he could delve deeper, he saw Lily smile softly. "We'll just have to keep trying, Dad." Her innocent faith hung in the air between them like a promise. But would their determination be enough to face whatever came next? The journey was only beginning, and the real test was yet to arrive. That night would bring challenges, but what would they learn when the real storms rolled in? The following morning, Ben rose with the sun, its soft light filtering through the curtains, casting stripes of warmth across the room. His mind buzzed with the possibilities they had discussed, but the weight of responsibility rested heavier than before. "Dad, are you going to help me with my science project today?" Lily's voice broke through his thoughts, her eyes bright and hopeful. "Of course, Pumpkin. What do you have in mind?" Ben replied, pushing aside the worries that tangled in his mind. Her enthusiasm was contagious, lifting him momentarily from the worry that clung like damp air to his skin. "It's about ecosystems. Can we make a little model of a pond?" She bounced on her toes. "Absolutely. A pond it is," he said, his heart warming at her excitement. They shared a smile, and in that moment, the world felt right solid and filled with potential. After breakfast, they gathered their supplies and headed to the kitchen table. As they cut construction paper and mixed paints, laughter rang out, drowning out the uncertainties that loomed in the background. As the project came together, Ben couldn't help but think about last night. The sincerity in the boy's voice echoed in his mind. If they could create an open dialogue for the kids, it might spark something special. The thought flickered like an ember, warm and inviting. "Dad?" Lily said, disturbing his daydream. "Do you think we'll really get to hear what everyone thinks? About the kids' meeting?" "I hope so," he replied, focusing on gluing down a little paper fish. "I think it's important, just like you're sharing your ideas here. Everyone deserves a chance to speak up." Lily nodded passionately, her tiny hands working on her model. "Do you think my friends will come to the meeting?" "They'd better." Ben laughed softly, imagining a circle of kids, voices overlapping, each sharing their dreams. Felt like magic. Suddenly, the peaceful morning was interrupted by a loud rattle from the front porch. Ben frowned and stepped toward the door, curiosity thickening the air around him. He opened the door hesitantly, revealing a pack of brightly colored flyers spread across the ground. "It's the flyer for the community meeting," Lily exclaimed, her voice laced with excitement. Ben picked one up, scanning the neighborhood names he recognized. "This is great, Lily. If these get handed out, people will see they're welcome to share in this." But dread twisted his stomach. Would these flyers be enough? What if they still missed the families who needed this the most? Dad, how do we get these to everyone? Lily asked, her face scrunched in thought. Good question, he nodded slowly. Maybe we can take a walk around the neighborhood. Hand them out personally? Yeah. And we can talk to them and invite them. Her energy surged back, illuminating the room with her spirit with newfound motivation. They set off, Lily holding the stack of flyers close to her chest, her little feet practically bouncing off the sidewalk. Ben felt the blues of doubt begin to lift. They were doing something together, tangible and good. As they walked, Ben spotted familiar faces: a neighbor working in her garden, another jogging by with a dog. They waved and chatted, handing out flyers, and Ben felt the undercurrent of hope rising. Just when he thought things couldn't get better, someone shouted from behind. It was Jeremy, the boy with the brave voice from the meeting. He ran up, panting slightly, excitement crackling in the air. I told my mom about the meeting. She said we can come. Can we help? Ben looked at Lily, a smile spreading across both their faces. Absolutely. The more, the merrier. And just like that, the worry of the morning began to fade, replaced with the vibrant energy of possibility. As they stood there, the world pulsing around them with laughter and connection, Ben couldn't shake the feeling that they were unearthing something deeper, something that could change their community in a way he didn't fully understand yet. Would it be enough? And just what awaited on the path ahead, now that they had drawn others in? The day wasn't just about building a project. It was a new beginning. And as he walked side by side with Lily and Jeremy, Ben felt the winds of change swirling around them, a powerful reminder that sometimes the most heartwarming discoveries start with a simple invitation. Would they be ready for what was about to unfold? The sun climbed higher, soaking the streets in golden light, as Ben, Lily, and Jeremy made their way through the neighborhood. The energy buzzed around them like static electricity, each step sparking hope. Look, there's Mrs. Toldman. Lily pointed excitedly at an elderly woman tending her flower bed. The vibrant blooms looked like little bursts of sunshine against the green. Hey, Mrs. Toldman, Ben called, waving. She looked up, her face breaking into a warm smile. Oh, hello there. What are you three up to? We're inviting everyone to our community meeting. Lily beamed, holding out a flyer. Oh, how lovely. Mrs. Toldman took the flyer with gentle hands. You kids are doing such wonderful things for our neighborhood. You remind me of a time when we all looked out for one another. That sounded so comforting to Ben. We just want everyone's voice to be heard. It's important. And I hope they will come, Mrs. Toldman said. I've seen so many families come and go. It would be nice to have a place where everyone can connect. Ben's heart swelled. He could feel the ripple of excitement they were creating. It wasn't just a meeting anymore. It was a bridge, linking people to each other, building a stronger community. As they continued walking, they would meet families and friends, sharing laughter and stories as they handed out flyers. Each interaction felt like little droplets of hope filling a bucket. But as they approached the park, Ben's stomach churned again. What if it didn't work? What if only a few showed up? Dad, Lily said, tugging his sleeve. Look, she pointed to a small group of kids playing with a soccer ball by the swings. Let us go talk to them, Jeremy exclaimed, and they rushed over. The kids paused mid-game, eyeing them curiously. Ben took a deep breath. Hey there, we're spreading the word about a community meeting. We'd love it if you could come. One of the boys kicked the ball over to them. What's it about? It's a chance for everyone to share ideas. Like, if you have an idea for a new playground or anything you want to change, you can voice it. Lily chimed in, eyes bright. The kids looked between them, and Ben felt the anticipation building. After a moment, the girl in the group spoke up. I think I might want to come. My friends and I have ideas for some new swings. Just when hope started to grow, a voice cut through the air. Why would anyone listen to a bunch of kids? A tall boy stepped forward, arms crossed. Something inside Ben tightened. Because every voice matters, no matter how small, he said softly yet firmly. Takes bravery to speak up, and you all have that power. The tall boy scoffed, but the younger kids exchanged glances. considering Ben's words. Lily stepped closer. If we don't say something, we'll never be heard. Just like that, something shifted. The atmosphere crackled with a sense of potential. The tall boy shifted uncomfortably, still skeptical, but the younger kids nodded. All right, one of them finally said, "Count us in." Ben felt a rush of warmth. They were making connections, warming hearts one flyer at a time. As they headed home, chatter in the air, Lily turned to Ben and asked, "Do you think people will really come, Dad?" He looked at her, knowing the sincerity behind that question. "I think they will. We're building something special, Lily. We're building a place where everyone belongs." Just then, a figure came into view. It was Mrs. Simon, the school principal. She approached with a curious smile, pausing just before them. "You're all so busy today. What's your secret?" Ben exchanged glances with Lily and Jeremy. "We're spreading the word about our community meeting." "Oh, I'd love to hear about it," Mrs. Simon said. "Maybe I could help?" A wave of excitement surged through Ben. Would her involvement bring in more families? "Absolutely," he said, brighter than before. That's when Lily added, "We can even have kids lead some parts of the meeting." Mrs. Simon's eyes lit up with realization. "That's a brilliant idea." As hope radiated between them, Ben felt a strange mix of certainty and uncertainty. They were onto something, but the challenge loomed ahead. It was a leap into the unknown, and he could feel it, right on the edge. Would their little spark ignite something bigger within the community? Would everyone truly find the courage to share? As Ben watched the sunlight dance through the leaves, his heart remained tender with the thought of what could truly be, waiting just around the corner. Ben stood in the gym, the familiar echo of voices swirling around him like a gentle breeze. The room was filled, packed shoulder to shoulder with families, kids bouncing in excitement. He felt the buzz of energy, the promise of something remarkable in the air. The colorful banners, hand-painted by the students, hung proudly above. They read, "Your voice matters, and together we can." They were symbols of hope, each letter like a heartbeat coming to life. "Hey, Dad, look," Lily exclaimed, standing on her tiptoes. "Ava's here." Ben turned to see the girl whose dreams had first ignited his journey. Ava walked in, her eyes wide, filled with possibility. Beside her stood Maria, the art teacher, and they both carried instruments, a brush and a smile. "Tonight is the night," he whispered, adrenaline rushing through him. This meeting was about more than ideas. It was about hearts intertwining, forging bonds among families in Brookfield. He stepped forward, heart pounding. As the crowd quieted, anticipation swirling like a sweet melody. "Good evening, everyone," he started, his voice steady and warm. "We've all gathered here tonight because we care. We want everyone's dreams to flourish, our kids to shine bright." The crowd leaned in, listening with hopeful hearts. He glanced at Lily, her eyes gleaming like stars. "I want to introduce a special guest," Ben continued. "Ava has something to share." The crowd erupted into enthusiastic applause as Ava made her way to the front, her spirit radiated with courage. "Hi everyone," she said shyly, her eyes scanning the room. "I'm so excited you're all here. I used to think my dreams didn't matter because I couldn't afford to pursue them. But now, we can change that." The room erupted with cheers, Ben's heart swelling with pride. "With my friends," Ava continued, "we came up with ideas for art workshops and art shows. It's our way of giving back and creating a space for others." A collective gasp rose from the audience, now a spark ignited. Parents exchanged glances, encouragement palpable in the air. "Let us help make our community a place where every child can discover their passions." The energy surged with excitement, the crowd clapping, voices rising in agreement. Then, something resonated deep within Ben. Their stories were weaving a tapestry stronger than he ever imagined. It was no longer just about him. It was their fight together. As parents voiced their ideas and visions, the conversation flowed like a roaring river. A father stood, voice trembling. "I want to talk about mental health for our kids. We need to provide resources." "Yes," chimed in a mother. "A support group for parents facing challenges. We're all in this together." Can we have a mentoring program? Called another voice from the back. Definitely. Ben agreed, noting every suggestion. Let us create a network where everyone can lend a hand. No one has to carry their struggles alone. The chatter grew louder, ideas building upon one another like a grand fireworks display. Ben glanced at Lily, who was beaming, eyes sparkling with pride. Dad, it's really happening, she marveled, clutching his hand tightly as excitement bubbled within her. Moments turned into hours, ideas blossoming like flowers reaching for sunlight. Together, they filled sign-up sheets for workshops, created committees for plans, and ignited a vision that no one could have predicted. This was more than a meeting, it was the dawn of a new era in Brookfield. As they wrapped up, the room echoed with laughter and hope. Ben felt tears of joy brim in his eyes. They had forged connections, becoming advocates for one another in the process. They had dared to dream and turned those dreams into tangible plans. Let us meet again next week, Ben called, standing taller than ever. We'll keep this going. We'll plan events, launch programs, and invite everyone to the table. The crowd erupted in applause, cheers of excitement strumming the air. As families began to gather their things, Ben caught a glimpse of Ava surrounded by friends, her laughter juxtaposed with sincere happiness. Under those gym lights, Ben realized this seed of transformation would keep growing. They were planting roots. Laughter echoed through the hall as families chatted excitedly, and Ben's heart felt fuller than ever. In that moment, he saw the heart of Brookfield grounded in love, community, and shared dreams. As he stepped outside with Lily, the horizon painted in hues of orange and pink, he smiled down at her. You did incredible tonight. Your heart shines. Lily beamed back, her joy radiant. So did you, Dad. We helped a lot of people. Yeah, we did. And you know what? He said, pulling her close. The adventure starts now. They walked out, hand in hand, discovering a world where every story mattered and touched. Together with Brookfield, they could rise and create something extraordinary. And you can be part of this journey too. Subscribe immediately to the channel to not miss the next exclusive stories. Leave a like now to feed the algorithm. Comment your reactions and feelings about this ending. Share instantly this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this transformation. You need to subscribe now. This is the moment to show your support. Don't wait not even one more second to share.